everybody, and welcome to the Phoenix International Raceway for the season finale 500 here. And it's going to be a good one. Our final four, all qualified and set, spread out across the starting field. My name is Michael Norman, and for the first time in I don't even know how long, I have a co-commentator here. His name is Seth Cole, Mr. NNSCRA himself. Seth, thank you for joining me up here for this season finale.
Yeah, you say Phoenix. I've heard other people say ISM. I'm at the wrong track, apparently.
Yeah, this track goes by many names. In fact, I almost won a contest because of they asked how to name all the names here. But, you know, Seth, this is it. Final four, no more points. It's all about racing and finishing position for these four drivers. And, I mean, I really don't know who to keep my eye on here. I mean, you got Zach Rogers. He's the highest qualified, but sometimes it's not all about where you qualify.
But you're right. Phoenix is one of those tracks where it's not all about starting track position at the initial drop of the green flag. It really is a tire conservation type track, and a lot of people don't really realize Phoenix is exactly what it is, a very challenging track for a finale. Both ends of the racetrack entirely different in terms of how you have to approach those corners. A little bit less banking over in what's now 1 and 2 for the old school fans. It would be 3 and 4, and then of course as well we got to talk about the elephant in the room, that very wide dogleg front straightaway now, giving drivers lots of opportunities to set up passes down into the heavy braking zone of turn 1. So I'm with you. I don't necessarily think it's the good starting track position that's going to win the day out here, because I think we could also end up seeing the blistering tire attempts draw these drivers to pit road and see pit road strategy come into who's going to win the championship.
I absolutely agree with you. You know, and we're talking about our championship final four here. Let's run down the real quick. We've got so far the highest starter right here. That's Zach Rogers. He's starting in the 6th position here, so that's very good here. It's gonna be a little difficult to point out who's in what spots, because as I said during my previous races, all 16 playoff drivers were allowed to keep their red banner whether or not they are in the final four for the championship or not. So we got to real keep out on the numbers here. Rogers starting in sixth place here. He's got a good shot so far. And then we're gonna go down. Let's see where the next person would be Roberto Crown Jr. He's starting real deep in the field along with Kev Shearer. Those two advanced into this final four by winning at Talladega and the Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, and then of course you've got as well in the middle of all this Dylan Young in the 2. Looks like he might be starting around the mid-pack position. I find it interesting you talk about the fact that it's going to be difficult for us up here in the booth to be able to tell where those 4 playoff contenders are during the course of this race, with the other playoff drivers still with the red banners. But I guarantee you, 4 drivers that are going to know where the other competitors are on the track are going to be our 4 championship drivers. Their spotters, their crew chiefs, they will be keeping them abreast the entirety of this race of where their competition is and who they have to be ahead of to take this championship trophy.
Absolutely, and we're ready to get things underway here at Phoenix. We're going to now go trackside for our opening ceremonies and getting this race underway.
motorsports, please welcome your grand marshals, 7-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion and longtime Goody spokesperson, the King, Richard Petty, and Circle K Southeast Director of Marketing, Todd Harmon. Start your engines!
Yeah, they've given you the command here. We're saving fuel. Just saving fuel running early.
And there we have it. Our engines are fired here at Phoenix. We're getting ready for 47 laps of racing, and I'll tell you, Seth, there's something about a choir of people singing that national anthem.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the drivers hate it when the national anthem's dragged out, because that's just a little bit longer that they have the adrenaline kicking up, the anticipation kicking in. They want to fire those engines up. They want to roll off this grid. They want to take that green flag, especially those four battling for the championship. And I mean, how about the final four we got coming into this? The diversity of manufacturer and team. You've got 2 Chevrolets, 2 Fords duking it out here. Zach Rogers out of Roush Fenway Racing. Kev Shearer with, I don't even know how Rick Rare Racing was able to make it into this thing with that equipment. You've got Robert Crown Jr. out of Colleague, and then Dylan Young, of course,
Roberto.
You know, it's the same thing if you're in a different part of the country. Nonetheless, you know, these guys, different manufacturers, different levels of experience. I'm not sure who to give the advantage to. I mean, you mentioned Kevin, Roberto winning their way in, but also a couple of weeks ago, Zach Rogers, Dylan Young had top 10 runs at Las Vegas. So all of them seem to have some pretty good mojo and momentum on their side. We're going to see who's going to have it here at the end of 47 laps.
Green flag is out. All 38 drivers have made it to the green flag, and let's see what happens here. You said a wide turn area back here. Look at some of these drivers.
3 wide.
Already going 4 wide. The 17 not good. The 11's going to turn him, and he saved it.
That's a championship save right there. My goodness, Zach Rogers could have had the championship trophy completely out of his grasp by the time they even got half a lap in.
Oh, and the caution is out. I guess that in turn brought the caution out. And here comes poor lonely Seth Cole back here all by himself.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes you have people you want to race with. Sometimes you just live the life of a back marker. And are we already pitting? We are.
Well, I would assume the 17 would pit after that slide. It looks like maybe somebody did spin. I see a lot of stuff back here. So as we're coming down pit road here, some cars do, some cars don't. This is where, like you said, Seth, the strategy could come into play immediately. But let's go look and see what happened to bring out the caution flag. All right, we're looking here at this wreck. You see the cars just sliding up off the track there. Seth Cole, and it looks like possibly Cole Deaver just get into it here just a little bit.
Yeah, we were so focused on the initial contact with Zach Rogers, we didn't even see this secondary incident off of turn number 2. And yeah, you talk about the track conditions, the slipping and sliding. It's hard to tell in that case if Seth Cole just ran Cole Deaver out of room trying to give some space to, I believe that was Stephen Colon, the 47 underneath him, or if indeed that car just got loose and started drifting up the track. Actually, correction on my part, that was actually the 42 that he was giving room to. But, you know, early on in this with the cold tires, I have a feeling it was just the case of that car wiggling. He was trying to save it, drifts up the track. Cole Deaver had position on his right rear, and unfortunately the contact made that brings out this yellow flag. But I'll tell you what, I mean, we were talking about this before we went green, how the starts of this race with the drivers all lined up double wide leads to 3 and 4 wide situations. We kind of got away with one there because the save by Zach Rogers, the solo car spin by Seth Cole, we could have more than likely had a lot of torn up race cars before the first lap was completed. So maybe a little sigh of relief being breathed by all these drivers now. They'll get the single file restarts and be able to settle into a long green flag run.
That's very true. We're going to see where we stand after this caution flag, after all the cars that pit, and where they're going to come to the green flag, as we're going to head back up for the restart here at Phoenix. Ever so closer to finding out who our champion is going to be. Lights are off on the pace car. Going to give a quick top 10 rundown. Harrison Ponder, Jessica Shelton, Christina Bell, Henry Sanford, Daniel Voiles, Zachary Fitzwater, Clint Spillman, Dylan Poteet, William Brock, and Chris Dollart's in your top 10. And the highest running of the playoff drivers right now is Dylan Young in 11th, but not that far behind him is Roberto Crown Jr. in that 16.
And I'm not 100% certain, but I believe Dylan Young and Roberto Crown Jr. did not come down pit road under this yellow flag. I was going to kind of try and figure out who we're looking at that had come to pit lane. I was going to use Kyle Matthews, our pole sitter, as a measuring stick, but he came down pit road a second time, going to be starting back in the 39th position. So a lot of track position lost there in the span of a couple of laps.
There is no 39th position.
Next to last.
37th. 37th. Remember, it's only 38 cars, but here comes...
I have 37th and a half. Do I hear 37th and 3/4? Anyway, race.
Jessica Shelton to the inside of the 00, looking to lead her first lap of the evening. I got Henry Stanford right behind her, and Christina Bell on the outside there trying to keep the outside lane going.
And I think this is one of the things that we miss so much when we do our season finales is the fact that there are 4 drivers that are battling for the championship, but there are 34 other drivers that are out here trying to end out the season with a checkered flag. Many of them looking for their first checkered flag on the year. Many of them looking for the first checkered flag of their career. So there's so many different agendas that take place here. And oh yeah, by the way, all in the middle of that, there's a championship cup hanging in the balance.
Absolutely. Look it up here with Dylan Young. He's right behind his teammate Dylan Poteet.
Man.
Really on the back bumper here, but right now he's staying ahead just like he needs to.
He's got the 16 of Roberto Crown Jr. up on the top side as well, so that gives him a bit of a reprieve. Now he gets back down to the bottom, and Crown Jr. is still stuck on the top. So yeah, Dylan Young, this is going to help him. However, you don't really want that inside line going here into turn 3. Believe it or not, that outside line gets the better momentum through the middle lane off of turn number 4, so you actually have to lift out of the throttle a lot more when you have that inside line going into the final couple of turns, but he's making it work. Passes Chris Dalton, now going to try and go to work on the 38 car.
Absolutely. Remember, Dylan Young was the Season 9 champion here in the Budweiser All-Pro Series, so he's going for his 2nd championship. You got back here, you got him, you got Roberto Crown Jr. still stuck in the outside lane, but look who's working in that 15 car on the inside.
Kev Shearer now trying to be the 2nd highest of the final 4. 3 wide right ahead of him, though. The 18 down on the inside there. 34. I don't know why. I always, even in NASCAR races, I get McDowell and Logano mixed up sometimes because they've got the similar yellow and red coloring on their machines. But 34 in the middle there. Kev Shearer's going to make the pass, and Zach Rogers nowhere to be seen right now in the 17 car.
He's back here, and he's got some type of damage on that race car.
I bet you there was a stack up on pit road at some point, or maybe contact between himself and Kyle Matthews on pit lane. Maybe that's why the 5 was so far back too. He's got front end damage. So we either had ourselves a checkup on pit lane or some type of contact on pit lane. The pole sitter and one of our final 4 competitors, their days are pretty much done because they are at the back. They've got damage. They're not making straightaway speed. There's another car back there too. Is that the 10? Yeah, Rob Evans, who was actually on the inside of the 3-4 wide situation that led to Zach Rogers nearly spinning out on the back straightaway. So we've got a couple of drivers here in the early going that are just going to have to ride it out, it seems.
Yeah, and that's a very tough break for that's a very tough break there for Zach Rogers. Literally had to fight and claw at Texas last week to get into the Final 4, and he did, and unfortunately his days pretty much ended so far on pit lane. And look at Dylan Young. Talk about a man on a mission. Gets past the 4. I think he's up to roughly about the 5th position now.
He is, and he's doing it on older tires as opposed to some of those guys that came to pit lane under our only caution so far of this race. So definitely showing that he is a driver set up for the long run and very good at preserving those good years. And you mentioned it. He's been here before. He's won a championship. And so in terms of experience and getting your adrenaline down, focusing on what's the task ahead, Dylan Young might have had an advantage over the other 3 coming into this finale.
That's very true. He had to fight tooth and nail to keep himself inside the top 4, and you know he had a couple of bad showings too that almost cost him. But Dylan Young able to keep himself in the Final Four. Meanwhile, we have a battle for second place between Henry Sanford and Christina Bell.
I was just going to point out there, Christina Bell is able to rotate that car through the center and gets a great drive off. That's how she was able to get to the inside of Henry Sanford, and she's going to complete the pass by the time we get here into turn number 1. Keep an eye on the drivers that are currently moving forward, because these are the drivers that are going to be set up possibly inside the top 5 by the end of this race. I think now we've gotten that initial caution out of the race, you're going to want a car that is set up for the long run, because I don't necessarily see, outside of maybe a freak yellow flag, I don't see another caution necessarily coming out between now and the checkered flag. So Christina Bell, Dylan Young, these are drivers I'm looking at right now that might be the ones to settle it out for the checkered flag by the end of the race.
Oh, Dylan Young getting really close on that 00 car. He has a car, and he is going fast in that 2 car. He's not only is he wanting to win the title, he's looking to try to win the race.
No better statement than to be able to hoist a race trophy and a championship trophy at the end of the day, and make a statement as well to all the other competitors, the other 15 competitors that carried those red playoff banners, that, hey, I was the guy to beat going in, I'm the guy to beat going out.
Oh, we got a couple of cars coming down pit road. A little bit of late entries there. This is where the pit strategy starts. So even with the help of a caution, you can run a roughly, I want to say what, between maybe 15 to 18 laps, give or take?
Look like it. So we're looking at least one more pit stop for all of these drivers. Bear in mind, the drivers that came to pit lane under the caution, I think they still have to make 2 more pit stops as well. I think Shelton's waving the hand out the window to come this time. You saw Christina Bell a little wider there. She's going to come down pit road also. Looks like the 12 of Dylan Poteet's going to stay out and lead a lap, but he's slow. I think he missed pit lane. Yeah,
I think he was either missed pit lane or he was slowed down because everybody else in front of him. That's going to give the lead over to Levi McIntyre, who won last week at Texas, looking for 3 wins and 2 in a row.
Looks like the 12 is under power, so I think you're right. I think he got checked up there with drivers ahead of him. McIntyre with the momentum took advantage. Now Levi's going to stay out. I would hazard a guess Levi was one of those drivers we saw come down pit road at the completion of lap 2 when that caution flag was out, so he could go another 2 or 3 laps more than everybody else. 23 also staying out there as well. That's Benjamin Miles in the 2nd position. I believe we had another driver also stay out. No, correction. I thought the 53 of Charles Buxton stayed out, but he came to pit road when I believe Poteet did.
Here's a very interesting story right now. Looking at our leaderboard, he may be damaged, but right now he's the highest of the chase drivers, and that's Zach Rogers. So damaged, yes, but it's going to come down to strategy. Look, Dylan Young beat out Jessica Shelton. If this cycles around, he could be the race leader.
And I think that was all down to the fact that he was one of the first on pit lane. Took advantage of the fresh tires, his first, maybe second out lap, taking advantage of the tire fall off with the drivers that stayed out and him having that grip underneath him. But now the question is for Dylan Young, is that going to work in the long run? Because he's now probably going to have to come to pit road another lap, 2 laps earlier than the competition behind him. They're going to have the fresher rubber in the closing stages of the race.
We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to really come down to it's going to come down to his pit crew. If his pit crew can get him on and off pit road in a hurry just like they did last time, it's going to really be something to see. There's the 51 sitting on pit road. Here comes some cars behind him. That would be the 11 and the 10. But here comes the 2. We're going to see where things cycle out around this time by.
You got to wonder what adjustments were made there. I mean, for a number of these guys, their first trip to pit road, they had about 16 to 18 laps, maybe 15 to 16 under green to be able to figure out what they have underneath them and what adjustments need to be made. Now we're going to see if there's a little bit of a passing of the torch of the drivers that are good on the long run versus those good on the short run. I noticed that Jessica Shelton is not allowing Dylan Young to get away, and Dylan Young was looking like he had a car much faster than Shelton in the early going. So I believe that 9 team made an adjustment and it's working. She might have a shot here at Dylan Young for this race lead if she can keep these consistent lap times up.
Yeah, I completely agree. And right now in front of them, Rob Evans, we talked about him being far back. He is right now the current race leader, though I don't think he's made a pit stop yet, and if he did, it was under the caution flag, but he's still staying out here, and he's about 2.5 seconds. Make that 1.3 seconds now over the 2 car.
He's going to have to pit now, I do believe. I think he's actually indicating.
Yep, there he goes.
Yeah, I think he came to pit road twice under the yellow flag, so he had a little bit more in the tank, and then, of course, was able to clutch under pacing. So I think that's how he was able to make it as far as he did. Interesting fact here, though, Michael. If we look at the number of laps left, that could be Rob Evans' final pit stop of the day. He could be anywhere in the range of 2 to 2.5 laps short. He could easily save that. Everybody else we know for certain is going to have to be on pit road before this checkered flag waves. So this could be a strategy call for a driver that looked like he was out of the hunt for the checkered flag.
Well, now that we know that Dylan Young is leading, let's look and see where the rest of our final 4 are. Kev Shear back in the 18th position, mired back in traffic. He might possibly need a miracle, if not a caution, to try to gain some more spots up here. And not only that, but then we're going to go back to Roberto Crown Jr. He's back here in the 35th position. Wow. Not sure what happened there, if he had some type of penalty or something happened on his pit stop. But he's mired back here with Zach Rogers in the 34th and 35th positions. Whoa, and Rob Evans.
My goodness, that's what cold tires will do for you, folks. No grip going into 1 and 2. Ran Kyle Matthews nearly up into the wall.
I can tell you one thing, he's definitely not gonna be happy about that. As we see here, who is our driver in dead last? That would be the 10 of Rob Evans, who is 1 lap down now. But Dylan Young.
That he spent a lot longer on pit lane than I think that we would have thought. So everything I just said about Evans possibly being the spoiler here on fuel strategy, I think with losing that lap, that's taken him out of the picture once again.
Well, I wouldn't count him out. It really depends. This is a short track. It takes a while to get around the racetrack. So, I mean, if he does not have to pit again, I don't know. I wouldn't count him out per se, but right now, this is where the battle is. This is between Dylan Young and Jessica Shelton. Both of which, well, I was going to say both of which.
Also watching that interval, though. 3rd place on back. They're starting to reel them in little by little. Not a whole lot, but remember, Christina Bell had a very good car in the early going before the pit stop, and she's got the 4 right behind her as well. I'm trying to remember who off the top of my head who that is, and Zachary Fitzwire, that's right. So, keep an eye on those guys.
Absolutely. Dylan Young has not been the victory lane since his win at Dover earlier this season, and he's definitely looking to go back, as we're just under 20 laps to go in this race.
Now comes the strategy games. Do you come to pit lane? Because I think at this point in time, you would be good to make it the rest of the way on fuel. Do you jump the gun, try and take advantage of the fresh rubber now, or do you stretch it as far as you possibly can? Maybe not take on nearly as much fuel as you would if you pitted now. I don't know. Would you even consider going with right size to gain track position? Because again, a lot of these guys, 34 drivers, have nothing to lose. They've got a shot at ending out the season with a checkered flag. There's no championship on the line for them. Would you go for a Hail Mary strategy just to end out the season with a checkered flag? I think you would.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. It'd be a really tough decision if you're a crew chief here, but I would personally, I would probably go with going to your top out, because like you said, I don't expect there to be another caution flag in this race now that we got the initial one out of the way. And with that, I would say come in now, take advantage of the fresh tires, try to gain as much ground as you can before the rest of the drivers come in. But man, I cannot peel away from this battle. Dylan Young, Jessica Shelton, you both know how close friends these two are, and that's going to make this battle even twice that much better.
This is the point of the run where we're starting to see the 2-lap fresher tires that Jessica Shelton has on her Napa Chevrolet are giving her the advantage through the center of the corner. You saw how much deeper she was able to drive it into turn 1. She's getting back to the throttle just a tick quicker through the center of the corner than Dylan Young is. I think Dylan Young is actually doing with the car, wanting to come around on him off the exit. I mean, look at this. Shelton packing the air underneath that too. She realizes he's getting loose. She's trying to continue that loose sensation by taking the air off of his spoiler.
Yep, riding on board Jessica Shelton now, and you can see you just got to roll through the corner, but you can't pick the throttle up right away. You got to burp it just that little bit. But It's like hitting the wall of air that these drivers talk about. You know, when you get closer. Oh, Jessica.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if she decided to go to the outside lane, but she just lost a lot of momentum right there.
I think the 2 was trying to compensate with an early lift into the corner, took Jessica Shelton by surprise, and she had to bail out of the throttle to avoid running into the back of him. That was costly for Shelton because Phoenix is one of those tracks where you can reel in a driver, but you reel them in by hundreds. You don't reel them in by chunks like tenths or even full seconds. It's just not possible to do that. So it's all about momentum, and when you lose that momentum, it takes you a good 2-3 laps to get it back again. She's back on the charge, got a little bit of draft off the back of the 2 there, down the back straightaway, and it was about 5 car lengths. All of a sudden, it's back to 2.5. Dylan Young's pitting.
DeYoung coming down pit road now, just like before. He'll be the first to come down pit road. Jessica Shelton will take 10 laps to go. As you see, the other 2 drivers, the 16 and the 15, already on pit road. So as they come out, Jessica Shelton, caution! The caution is out! I'm not sure why. I see the smoke on the front straight. Oh, it's at the 8. Oh, it's the 8. The 8 of, that is Clint Spillman. The caution is out. Now this is going to be something. I don't even know. I can't even begin to fathom what's going to happen here. All I know is that
on the backstretch, I'm assuming it was a driver trying to get to pit road and maybe got.
They might be okay if they can get out of pit road ahead of this pace car. They might be okay.
This is going to be interesting. This caution.
I don't
would have thought this could be a championship deciding caution.
I don't want to go. I don't want to cut away just yet. I do not want to cut away just yet to see what happened yet. I want to wait to see what happens after this, after everything cycles around here.
Here's the problem, though. I think that everybody that came to pit lane are going to be stuck behind the pace car. I think they're going to be on the tail end of the lead lap ahead of whoever comes off pit road as the race leader. It's not going to be Jessica Shelton. Is that Levi McIntyre, I think, that just won the battle off pit lane?
Yeah, that would be Levi McIntyre.
I think he's going to be our race leader when all this cycles around. There you see 5, 6 cars that are trapped behind the pace car.
Well, and that's
Don't see Dylan Young as one of them.
I see him back here. Let's go. All right, we're going to go ahead and break away and take a look to see at what happened and bring out the caution and be right back with the restart here under 10 laps to go. We are back here at Phoenix looking to see at what happened. As you see, the cars were coming down pit road. The 8 car was staying out, and so was Poti, but I guess Poti just had a better run off the corner than the 8 car.
Yeah, it definitely did. It's kind of hard to wow, yeah, I mean, it's just so close. I don't think there was any intent. I think Poti thought he was clear to tuck up behind Clint Spillman, but man, that's a Penske car that brought out this yellow flag, and it could have very nearly ended the championship hopes of a Penske teammate in Dylan Young, who, let's be honest, has dominated this race of the championship 4. I mean, we thought this caution was going to be huge. Looks like it's not going to be quite as significant as we thought in terms of the championship picture, but maybe for the race win. But, yeah, you and I both thought very unlikely that we were going to see caution come out for a legitimate incident on the racetrack with how spread out things were. If there was going to be a yellow, it'd be like a free caution, but we couldn't have been more wrong.
Absolutely not. We got one more look at this. We're going to ride on board with Dylan Poti.
Yeah, you didn't even hear him lift out of the throttle. That says to me he thought he was clear to be able to tuck in behind the 8 car. And unfortunately, he got a nice exit, a little bit wider of an exit off of 4, and Spillman kind of cut down off of 4 to avoid hitting the wall, and unfortunately they both wanted the same piece of real estate.
Yep. All right, well, let's go back up and see what kind of a restart we're going to get here at Phoenix. Welcome back to Phoenix. We are getting ready to go back under the green flag for the final 7 laps of the championship race. No, the 10 car is not the leader. We have a bunch of cars at the tail end of the lead lap set, and 3 of them are championship contending drivers.
Yeah, 50% of them are actually the championship contending drivers. You got this 15 of Kev Shear, who's on the tail end of the lead lap, the 16.
Who is 1 lap
Roberto.
down.
Yep, he's a lap down. Zach Rogers, we've already documented his early issues off the pace with the front end damage. So it's Dylan Young's championship to lose, no doubt. But the one thing I'm hoping is when that caution came out, Dylan Young was on pit road. Let's hope that they didn't panic and not get that thing full of fuel, because the last thing he wants to do is, with less than 10 to go, be running out of fuel and handing this championship over to somebody else. And how about Toyota? They didn't have a championship competitor coming to this finale, but Levi McIntyre might be able to give them another victory.
Absolutely. He is the current race leader who's able to beat Jessica Shelton off pit road. A lapped car separates the 19 and the 9 car here, but we're going to keep an eye on these cars as they head down. We'll see if Jessica Shelton can get back going. It's going to be a short run.
Boy.
Oh, the 19's coming down pit road. Oh, we have another wreck.
We got a wreck.
Oh, and Shelton's involved.
Dylan Young got through. Just barely squeaked through on the top side.
Oh, it's the big one.
The track is blocked. Completely blocked into 3.
The track is blocked. Ah!
Oh, I was going to say it, but I figured we wouldn't mean this up. Okay, you said it. I feel better.
Big time issues. The caution is out. Now the question, well, this also is going to help all those tail end of the lead lap cars that were still there.
Correct.
Dylan Young is the race leader.
I mean, I was watching him when that wreck took place. He just barely snuck in between the back bumper of Jessica Shelton's car and the outside wall. I think you could just barely have fit a car in there, and he did.
Oh, man, his life must have flashed through his eyes. That all happened because Levi had to come down pit road, and it was just all heck breaking loose. Let's go back, take a look at it here, and just see if we're even going to get a restart at this point. All right, we're keeping an eye here. Look at this. The 38 of Alex Tanker turns the 18 of Nathan Ormond. Ormond saves it. You could see him right there, just like Zach Rogers did earlier in the race. But Jessica Shelton, I think she got a little loose, overcorrected up the track, and just right into the back of the 18.
And then Harrison Ponder nowhere to go. Look at Dylan Young. That's what I was talking about, how close it was. Oh, 20 cars going to get involved, and then this is just when the track just completely gets blocked up. The outside, middle, inside line.
Cody Lamas. Yeah, it's just nowhere to go. Cody Lamas.
Here's the thing. This is why everybody's flying in there, because they're seeing wrecked race cars. They're seeing positions available to them. It's the season finale. You want to end the best you possibly can, so these guys are the mentality of bring it home with a good finish or bring home the steering wheel, and that's why a lot of them ended up with damage. I mean, there you see the 47 come flying in there really, really late. Never even got on the brakes.
All right, we're going to watch this wreck happen from the right here with looking at the 48 at full speed. Oh, there's all the hard hits right there.
There's no reaction time.
Wow, how did Trent Dunham sneak through that? All right.
Let's not forget, this was all because our Las Vegas winner, Stephen Pollard III, and our last week's winner, I was going to say defending winner, I guess we could call it defending winner from last week, Levi McIntyre, both diving for pit road in the closing stages.
Yep. All right, well, let's go back up. Let's see if we're going to get a restart with how many laps and see if Dylan Young can pull this off. Back here at Phoenix, the pace car lights are still on. We've got 3 laps to go, coming to 2. Seth, you said it. We're probably going to get a 1-lap shootout here, so it's just 1 lap for Dylan Young to hold off everybody behind him, including his teammate, Dylan Poteet.
Dylan Young's been the mainstay at the front. If he hasn't been leading, he's been up inside the top 5. He's obviously right now the #1 guy that is in position to win this championship. But I'm just kind of shaking my head looking back through this top 10 because there's so many storylines. Kyle Matthews started on the pole, came to pit road 2 laps in, giving up that track position, got that front end damage. He's in the 10th position. The 2 drivers that brought out the next caution flag, Dylan Poteet turning the 8 of, I just forgot his name, Clint Spillman. They're up inside the top 10. Poteet's restarting in 2nd. Spillman's restarting in 9th. I mean, you can't script this kind of stuff. This is why you never give up. You run the race to the finish because you don't know what looks like is going to be a finish outside the top 20. Next thing you know, you're up inside the top 5.
And what a rally for Zach Rogers. May not be enough, but
huge.
may not be enough, but he's sitting 12th, and that's, I believe, second right now overall in the Final Four. So he's, like you said, never give up either. But this is going to be all Dylan Young's race to lose. We'll see. The 18 has damage. Will the 12 car be able to clear the 18 in enough time to even try to rally something against his teammate?
Well, we have the Dylan and Dylan connection. Will Pote try and play defense of the rest of the cars behind to help Dylan Young be able to win this championship? I know that Dylan Pote wants to end off the season with a checkered flag, but you got to wonder if there's some team alliance there as well to just try and get the entire organization of Penske Racing that championship trophy. About to find out. Green flag in the air, and 18 did not get a good jump. Pote going to swing around the outside.
Pote got a good run around the outside of the 18. No black flag for changing lanes. Can he hold off his teammate? Look at the charge Pote's getting.
Reach Sanford there trying to take the fight to the 41 for third position, but Pote's going to have a big run here into turn 3. Does he duck to the inside?
It doesn't look like he will. Dylan Pote content riding second. He's going to win the race and the championship. Dylan Young wins the championship in the Budweiser All-Pro Series.
Remember what we said about track position not meaning a whole lot here? Dylan Young, correct me if I'm wrong, started this race second highest of the playoff contenders, and that was outside of the top 15. And we've got some, well, if you're going to settle a score, settle it at the end of the season finale. Why not?
All right. Gonna go watch Dylan Young. Gonna go watch Dylan Young do his championship burnouts and head to victory lane here before we getting the official race results. We'll be right back. Dylan Young, the only car left out on the racetrack. He's going to be celebrating not only the win of the race, but the win of the championship, Seth. And here he goes, burning it down here on the front straightaway.
He's done this a time or two, I think we can safely say, and so very well versed in how to do a burnout.
Man, you get
wonder what's the emotions that go on inside that cockpit when you've already won a championship. I gotta wonder. I mean, you know the elation of a driver that does it for the first time, but you're able to call yourself a multi-time champion. I gotta wonder if you're more excited, just as excited, less excited. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I would say he possibly has to be just as excited as the first one. But we're going to have to wait and see. We're getting ready. Dylan Young going to park it on the front straightaway here as being told by the officials. He's going to get his championship ceremony underway here. And we're going to go get the official race results. So let's go get them. And we're back here at Phoenix. Dylan Young celebrating in victory lane with his team and his teammates. All going to say congratulations to him as he has officially won the season finale 500 here at Phoenix. Dylan Pote teammate second. Henry Sanford, Jonathan Zorline, Trent Dunham, Zachary Fitzwater, Sky Commons, Kyle Matthews, Clint Spillman, and Zach Rogers round out the top 10, Seth.
Yeah, there's a lot of names that we really didn't mention here today, like Dunham, like Commons. Great performances for them. Jonathan Zorling to end out the season, give them some momentum heading into next year. Don't know if they're going to be with the same team, if they'll be in piloting different rides, but really doesn't matter. From a driver's point of view, a good finish at Phoenix could give you the momentum you need when you head into the season opener at Daytona.
Absolutely. You got Semet Ozkin, Charles Sanford, probably who was our regular season champion. He's probably was one of the most consistent drivers. Unfortunately, falling out of the top. He didn't make it into the top 4 after last week. James Qualls, Chris Dollarton, Christina Bell, Charles Buxton, Alex Tanker, Roberto Crown Jr., who will finish 3rd overall in the standings. Nick Gunther and Cole Diva round out the top 20.
Yeah, you got last drivers on the lead lap, pretty much that were in the lead pack. Kev Shearer will finish 4th of the championship drivers. Levi McIntyre and Stephen Pollard, that caution saved them. They stayed on the lead lap after having to pit, but they never made up really any ground past that. And then Ali Rain, Benjamin Miles, all these drivers on down, Brock Buxton, Evans, they all finished ahead of the race leader, but theoretically about, 3/4 of a lap down.
Yep. And then the final 2 drivers, Rob Evans and Nathan Ormond, it seemed pretty good. I think if that caution didn't come out for Clint Spillman spitting on the front what was then the back straightaway, I think this could have turned out different or even sometimes the same in terms of championship anyways. But then we have the drivers who didn't finish this race, unfortunately. Those are Noah Hart, Harrison Ponder, Seth Cole, Daniel Voiles, Matthew Rodriguez, Cody Lamas, Stephen Colin, RJ Bishop, and Jessica Shelton, who by far had one of the most strongest cars of the day.
That's the heartbreak of the race, isn't it? I mean, led pretty much, I don't know if she led the most laps, but she was certainly up there with Dylan Young in the vicinity of leading the most laps, had one of the strongest cars of the day, and just did not get to show that with the finishing result here. That is a tough break, especially with the fact that we had a couple of cautions prior. Those drivers involved did not retire out of the race. She's going to be finishing dead last in the season finale. That is a tough pill to swallow if you had such a strong car as Shelton had here today.
Absolutely. Well, Seth, I want to thank you so much for joining me up here in the booth. It's been a fun season finale, and man, I can't wait and looking forward to season 12 of Budweiser All-Pro.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be up here. Love this track in terms of the racing it brings. I love racing here in person. I mean, this track, it's always a challenge. A lot of people don't like it for the season finale. I really love it because it really, to me, it kind of shows what a driver has learned during the course of the season and how they apply it to all the different facets that this track brings to the table. And congratulations to Dylan Young, not only winning the championship here, but now a multi-time champion in the Budweiser All-Pro Series. He's going to be having a lot of momentum going into next year. I think a lot of people going to be looking in the direction of that too, as, hey, if we're going to win this championship, we got to take that guy to task.
Absolutely. Well, as sign-ups for the next season will come, will be out as soon as I make them. I've got some things I've got to get done first. I got to completely wipe NR in terms of schemes and cars and stuff. Try to start fresh with the whole new car set that I'll bring to you for season 12 of the Budweiser All-Pro and sign-ups and everything. I'll get everybody their rides. Our champion gets a reserved ride because he is the champion, of course. So it'll be up to him. He gets first choice of cars for next season. My name is Michael Norman, and for Seth Cole, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here at Phoenix. We'll see you guys next season. Usually I'll say until we meet again, but today I'm going to say bye-bye.